North-South Connection. Welcome into Wrestling Warzone, a Monday Wars podcast retrospective series. I am JT. Joining me as ever is my partner Chad, and this podcast is simulcast audio on all podcast applications, except for those losers at Spotify under North-South Connection, and on YouTube at North-South Connection as well. Recently hit 1,000 subscribers. I want to thank you all who have jumped in and taken part. Be sure to continue to subscribe and share and like and love and comment. Appreciate it all. Of course, we also will be airing this on our Patreon, absolutely free Patreon at North-South Connection. Just search that up on Patreon. Over there, you'll get some bonus stuff from Chad as he kind of ebbs in and out, but I'm sure you'll have something cooking soon. And also, you can receive a link and watch us live as we record and weigh in with comments that we'll read on air as we're going through the episode. So, be sure to subscribe on Patreon. North-South Connection is completely free. YouTube on North-South Connection, just hit 1,000. And on the audio, if you like to listen, if that's your preference, North-South Connection as well. That's been cooking too. So, Chad, how are you?
Doing good. Been hot.
You've been hot?
It's been hot.
It has been hot.
We had over triple digits on the heat index today, so that was nice.
Yeah, we're looking at 106 tomorrow, I think. So,
yeah.
So playing basketball tonight. I'm not quite Benzani, but I'm going to try my best out there.
Game
try to ball like Ben, as the kids say.
Yeah.
We got some fans watching, some patrons. We got Logan, we got Grooney, we got Marty Sleaze with us, of course. So again, if you're a patron, you can get a link and
Three
watch us live.
Stooges.
Yes, they wish. And you can listen in, like you said, comment away. And it's obviously our first time talking, Chad, since the passing of Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea. So I guess we could take a few minutes to share some thoughts about that. And I will take a minute. We mentioned Marty's here. There's a great retrospective on the North-South Connection YouTube and Podbean audio. Ryan Gray hosted, kind of did the three phases of Hogan. He had Kelly Nelson talking kind of Hogan's pre-WWF run, AWA and all that. And then we had Steve Bennett on to talk kind of the prime Hogan era from 85, 84 to 93. And then Mr. Sleaze came on to talk NWO Hollywood era Hogan. I thought they did a great job. It was informative. It was touching. It was well articulated across the board. It's about 90 minutes, and I think they all do a great job. Especially, all three brought some different aspect, which I appreciate. Like Kelly, the history that he brought to like the pre-WWF era Hogan, I thought was really cool. He had some interesting tidbits. Steve, obviously a very passionate Hogan era fan, tied in that, and then Marty, who began his wrestling journey alongside Hollywood Hogan, kind of talked about what that meant to him, coming in without that background of real American Hogan, right? So it's a really cool retrospective. But we'll talk about our thoughts here. Obviously, I started watching wrestling in 1990, as we've talked about many times on these shows. First superstars I saw, one of the first ones is Earthquake destroying him on the Brother Love show. I still can't get through that music video without getting a little tear in my eye. Scott Criscola said, "Oh, you should have sent a letter in." I'm like, I probably did and just don't remember it. Get well Hogan card. So I was a Hogan fan for sure. Like Beefcake was my guy, but Hogan was definitely my guy too for a while. Him and Savage. So obviously grew up with him, and we malign it now, but even WrestleMania 9, I remember being like super excited that he came out and won the title back from Yoko, and Hogan's back, and definitely like a big deal. I watched every episode of Thunder Paradise. I was a little upset at first when he goes to WCW, but then you get into that, and then we're covering now, obviously, the Hollywood era. And then I think what helps transcend as well, and Marty hit on this, I think, in their show as well, is he came back right when 80s nostalgia was becoming a thing again. I shouldn't say again, was becoming a thing, right? I think a lot of the jaded era of kids that grew up in the WWF as fans or wrestling as fans that kind of lost touch or became jaded through the Attitude Era. All of a sudden they hit their early 20s. The internet was burgeoning, and suddenly you couldn't find a webpage that wasn't like, remember this, remember Punky Brewster, remember, this song, remember that show. And wrestling was part of that. Wrestle Crap sprouted out and all those other things, right? So it started to become like nostalgia became cool in that era. And that timed perfectly in sync with Hulk Hogan returning to WWE, right? And his first appearance back. And that leads to WrestleMania 18 and him being super over and everyone being excited again to see him. So earliest memory for me is that Earthquake moment, watching that whole build to WrestleMania 7 and be excited about that. And obviously just someone you identify with. I didn't grow up watching him in the 80s. I knew of him, So I can't sit here and be like I loved Hulk, but I wasn't like a formed like by some of these guys that they watched him like grew up in the 80s as like really young kids with him and that influence he had on them. But as a wrestling fan, and as an American icon for me, definitely stands out. And later is later with him, right? I'm not trying to hand wave or dismiss any of it, right? Like I think, you know, Steve put this pretty well on that show. Like I feel like the group that grew up with Hulk Hogan has this different twist on like what he was and who he was. And that's not Terry. It's not what he brought later. It's the character, the ideology of Hulk Hogan, and ingrained upon us as kids and how we grew up. Part of that is hard to rationalize, right? With what comes later and where it all ends up. So I think when you talk to someone in their 30s and 40s and they're nostalgic or have these feelings about Hulk Hogan and what he meant, it's coming from that place, right? Of we were children and he was our icon and that's what he was. And at that time, this other stuff wasn't a thing, right? It's easy to look back and be like, oh, look, he's a piece of shit or whatever people want to say. But it's like, yeah, but then there was none of that. There was no social media. There was none of this other, like, we just grew up with him on TV as an American icon, a wrestling superstar. That's our memory of him as a youth. You can't reboot that memory, right? So, not again hand waving or justifying anything that went on, just giving perspective of those who grew up with him in that era. I don't know. I don't know if you feel differently or how you approach it. I know you're a big Hulkster fan, but that's just kind of where I've been at it as I kind of wrestle through it all. No problem.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, for me, like I think, just like I was born in '86, so same. My first wrestling memory, same thing too, with Earthquake squashing Hogan. I'd been reading tapes before then, but that's one of my first memories. Period. As a four, and as a kid, didn't really watch like cartoons. Never really got into like GI Joe or Sesame Street or anything like that. It was pretty much Mister Rogers, which I don't remember because I was
Daniel
too young,
Slater.
and then Hulk Hogan, and then sports came like later. But I was trying to really because Hulk dying was. It feels a little surreal, and then it was interesting, just like the response, because I know you mentioned it happened to me too. Like I had so many people reach out
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't talked to in like years.
I've had
Like a
people
lot
in
of
my
my
family
friends from
pass away,
Alabama.
and I didn't get as many condolences as I did with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
getting left and right everywhere.
yeah. Like I had people from Alabama that when I went to school over there from fifth through eighth grade, we were right in the heat of the Monday Night Wars. We were watching back and forth, and they texted and stuff, and I was like, that was like a reconnection. I had talked to some of them in a decade plus at least. So that was interesting, and yeah, I mean, like it was really Hulk for a long period of time, and then like I had like Michael Jordan, but I don't really remember Michael Jordan till like '93. So like by that point, Hulk had 3 years built in, banked in, and same with like I was thinking like my favorite pro athlete of all time now is Greg Maddux, but like the Braves, like I do remember the '92 NLCS with Sid Bream, but I don't know like who my favorite player was when I was like 5, 6, 7. I just remember like Maddox really around like 94, 95, Kid Griffey, that type of era. So from like 95 onward. Um so that's kind of like when I enter into, my teen stage. So it's different. So really for my childhood, I had like one figure as like a role model that wasn't in my family. And it was Hulk. And his mantra of like say your prayers, take your vitamins, like that was a very simplified code to live by, but one that really resonated in the household I was raised in and whatnot. And it's something that like my parents approved of, like living that mantra and looking up to him and stuff like that. So he was always my guy. Now, down the road as an almost 40-year-old, I don't have the best track record of picking favorite wrestlers, as I mentioned before, is my other favorite guy around that time was Jake the Snake. Then I moved on to Benoit. So, not
Dynamite, is he
the
in there too?
who?
Dynamite Kid.
Yeah. So
Snuka, you're a big Snuka guy.
yeah, big Invader one guy as an 8-year-old. I was getting the tapes from Puerto Rico. No, but it's just it's still kind of surreal. Like I don't know, because like obviously I at my first house show, I think I may have mentioned this. I don't know if I ever mentioned on pod. Went to my first house show. I had like full decked out Hulk. So I had my bandana, my t-shirt, everything all Hulk. Was like very enthused about it. Supposedly, this guy who was with my parents was like this was at the Omni, okay? So and I found the house show. It's like April 91. He faced Slaughter. I have pictures of Slaughter and him in the ring that my mom took on her little camera. But apparently this guy like knew I was enthused with Hogan, said he could get backstage and like tried to get me backstage or something. Was unable to, but did bring back an autograph of Hulk Hogan. Now, as a kid, it's like, okay, I got Hulk Hogan's autograph. As an adult, I've become very speculative, thinking that, this guy that probably did coke or whatever just scribbled Hulk Hogan down on a card, handed it to me. But if you look at Hulk Hogan's autograph, like the one that's been authenticated and what I have on this card, they match. So I do think like it's Hulk Hogan's autograph.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. So I never like met him, but having that still, and I still have it. It's at my parents' in one of our like memory books, photo books, there with the pictures of the show. So that was cool. And then I talked about it on Facebook, but like I told my first grade teacher when we said our names in class, I said I was Hulk Hogan. So it's very surreal because I don't pretty emotional guy, but I don't usually get emotional for like people I don't know in real life. And this was the same case. Like it just felt odd, like hearing that he passed away. I don't
I
think
think because it's
like
so far removed from that Hogan for us. Like, if he had died in like 2003, like I think it might have hit him more. Like I think
yeah,
we're so far from
it's
that Hogan. It's like, well, yeah, like you kind of, and we're older and more around death. Like I don't know. So like I don't think it's as jarring for us.
71's like right at the age where I would say it's not tragic, but even though you did it, I mean, I think we'd kind of been braced with a little bit with what Bubba the Love Sponge or whatever said, but it
Right.
still felt pretty shocking just to
71
see the
feels young for
role.
him. Like I honestly would have thought he was older. Like that doesn't seem that old, like
Yeah.
for him.
Well, you look at wrestlers' lifespans and it gets pretty
Yeah.
depressing quick, but yeah.
He just seemed like one of those guys that'd be around forever. So for
Yeah.
whatever reason, like they'd still be dragging him out there at 85
Yeah.
for a pop. It's like it didn't seem like he'd be early to go. Like, and it just makes you even crazier. You mentioned Jake, like good for him. He's gotten cleaned up and he's still around. And even like Flair, like I don't think I would have guessed Flair would outlive Hogan. Um, I don't think that that surprises me. I think just as much.
You're right.
But I got this guy here. He's still in pristine shape. This is original from Christmas of '90. Not a mark on him. I beat the shit out of him,
Oh,
but I think I always kept him inside. That's why.
yeah.
Want to get yours? I also got the case of Real American Beer signed that I never opened. I guess I'll keep now. And I will say, like, obviously, I met Hogan. Like, I posted that up just under a year ago. It was the end of August last year. There you go. Twins. Is yours original? Or
That's
did you get
still
them
in
after?
pretty good shape too.
Yeah, yours is from then.
Yeah. My Jake
Yeah.
the Snake is not as well off. It
Did
has
you
like
did you keep yours inside a lot? I think it's a big difference. Because I have
yeah,
friends who used to
I
take
don't
them
think I
outside and
ever
they got all fucked
I
up.
don't remember mine ever going outside.
Yeah, no, I used to beat them up pretty good, but they'll be here
Yeah.
forever. The obviously met him last year. when he's doing the beer tour, and it still had that presence. And I waited for a while. We waited like me and my brother probably waited a good 3.5 hours, I think. And it was hot as hell. And you got in there and like you're cranky, you're overheated, you're beat red, and you get there and you're like when you see him walk in out of the limo out of the building, he's like kind of walking with a cane. He looks old, but then you
Yeah.
get up to him and it's like you were pulled. You can see why he was what he was because like as you get pulled into that orbit, you're like, oh shit, like it's fucking Hulk Hogan. He shakes your hand, he looks you in the eye, like he still
Yeah.
had that magnetic pull of being, the immortal Hulk Hogan, like and even at that state physically. And my brother, of course, he's like, oh, this guy never misses arm day, brother, whatever. So it was funny. But like right into character. So, I'm glad I got to meet him, I guess, before he died, as Grooney would say. But like it was, again, right, comes with the baggage that we all know about. But I do think there's that pull to those of us that grew up with the Hulkster looming over our lives, or for kids that lost themselves and immersed themselves in wrestling as an escape and whatever, right? I think just
Yeah,
it's
he
different.
transcends pro wrestling. Like, you can't say that. I mean, in the discourse, it's like you can't say like the whole adage, "Oh, he took it out of the smoke-filled rooms" or whatever. I mean, obviously, like there was big draws before and after, but I do think if you look at the history of professional wrestling as we know it from a worldwide standpoint, and we generally, I think, have a pretty good handle of from the 1880s to current day. Um, I would say it's Hogan or Jim Londos. Like to me, it's those two. Like those are the two biggest stars that have a long run, like longer than Austin's. And I think like I was trying to think like when some of these guys, because this is really now like you look back at those early WrestleManias and it gets depressing. Like most of these people we grew up with are gone. There's very, very few left. And I can't imagine they're, too far. I mean, Jake Roberts and people like that. It's like how much longer?
Leilani Kai looks good.
Yeah, yeah, she might be one of the final survivors. But yeah, I mean, he transcends pro wrestling. I don't know who will have that type of reaction. I mean, I think like certainly like when Austin or Flair or Undertaker pass away, those will kind of get a lot of retrospective looks and news. They'll make mainstream news, but I mean, just
Not
the
like
fact
this
that
though.
as soon as he
Everyone
passed
knew right
away,
away.
yeah, like I
Everyone, it's
mean,
everywhere. Local
yeah,
news, and they even the news stations here had a thing like, he was popular when he came to Rhode Island. He always said it was one of his favorite places, right? So it was like all those stories start pouring out. They were posting local press, clippings from when he would come for house shows, getting posted on the news channel, like all that stuff. And I think too, because he just did the tour last year here and it was kind of getting a lot of publicity. We were one of the states he hit a bunch with. Um, Obviously, I think he was kind of top of mind around these areas still. I did see some, and I don't want to get too much of this, but I saw some story about his family thinking like his business guys kind of ran him into the ground and exacerbated his situation. And I'll be honest, I believe it if they think if they because this dude, these tours he was doing were insane. Like for here in the dead of summer, and I'm sure at AC and he was hydrated, but it was like, he went to like 5 different liquor stores and then at the end of the night went to a bar and was like partying and drinking, after all day long being trucked around the state to these meet and greets. He's at a bar for a meet and greet, drinking beers on the state. Like, it's 70 with health issue. Like, so I'm like, I'm sure that schedule of like running him through those tours for this beer probably did boost a little bit.
yeah. I mean, you see that stuff. I obviously more will come out, but I did see an article that talked about like I guess the family was already disputing over his estate or whatever. But then it said like his estimated net worth was like $25 million. And when I saw that, I was like, well, yeah, that's, I mean, to me,
Deadspin.
that seems
Because
like
he
a
was pretty much
lot.
broke, right? And then Deadspin.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it's like, this is Hulk Hogan. Like, you think about like somebody like LeBron James that's worth probably close to $1 billion. It's like for 25
Well,
million
he was
from
like
somebody
almost
like Hulk Hogan,
bankrupt,
who
right?
everybody knows.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody I think knows him from like if you didn't grow up with parents that are wrestling fans and you're not never exposed to it. I think like if you're a kid, probably what
Everyone knew
15
Hulk
and
Hogan.
under, you may not know.
Everyone knew Hulk Hogan.
But yeah, like if you're above the age of 15, you know who Hulk Hogan is
Right.
for sure.
But he also, when he was making his money, the money wasn't big. Like if he was now in his prime, he'd be a billionaire. I mean, like he was just
Yeah.
making his most money he was making in the 80s when it wasn't in 90s and
Yeah,
WCW.
that was just jarring for me that like
But he also wasn't he almost broke when the Deadspin thing happened? Like wasn't
yeah, I
he?
mean, well, like, I mean, Flair is a whole other case, but it's like that too. But it's just like to think,
Yeah.
like, if his net worth really is around 25 million, it's like, I mean, Scotty Scheffler is like an incredible golfer, like amazing. His personality is zilch. It's like he could go to this golf tournament and make like 1/4 of Hulk's career, like, or it's just like, oh
Well, he's
wow,
lucky he
like,
won that lawsuit because I don't know what he'd have otherwise. Like that was a big
yeah.
reboot, I think.
And I mean, I'm sure like he had what 3 marriages, so I'm sure that took a nice dent too. But
I think if he passes away right after Hogan Knows Best, like everything is very different with how this has been handled. I think
yes,
after that is when everything
yes,
kind of went to shit for him. And I think it's forgotten the impact of his show. Like that era of reality TV was like kind of a big deal. Like it still is, but like that stretch of like Jessica Simpson, the Osbournes, Real World, and then Hogan Knows Best is like one of the first like family. Them and the Osbournes were kind of like the first
yeah.
family reality shows, right? Even before the Kardashians, I believe. So he was like, I think so. When did Keeping Up with the Kardashians start? Was that before? Because
Well,
Hogan Knows
I
Best
would
was what,
say
like
it
oh
was
five, oh
before
six.
like the Real Housewives stuff because that's what
Yeah.
really predominates that space now. Is like your Real Housewives, your Vanderpump Rules.
No,
I mean,
Kardashians was oh 07.
Kardashians too. So he's pre that.
Yeah, Hogan Knows Best was oh
It's oh
five.
04, 05. Yeah,
Yeah. So he was ahead. I mean, him and the Osbournes, I think, and Jessica Simpson were like the first kind of three
yeah.
like
Laguna
family ones.
Beach, classic.
Yeah, but that wasn't like a family. That was more like Real World. So like,
Well, it's family to me.
anyway, Hogan Knows Best was like it was like a real popular show. Like he kind of had a resurgence with that, um, as a public figure. Coming off of that show, kind of like again living off the nostalgia that had crept in, too. So anyway, we don't need to continue to belabor. Grooney puts a quote here from Martin Anderson. Said if you don't know anything about pro wrestling, you at least know what Hulk Hogan did, and I think it's an accurate quote. I think everyone knew Hulk Hogan, no matter what.
It's like those names. I mean, Babe Ruth, he played
Yeah,
baseball. Hulk Hogan, he was
Michael
like,
Jordan, Hulk Hogan, Babe Ruth.
yeah,
Like he's up there as the most recognizable. Muhammad Ali, like he's on that. It's crazy to say, but I think he's on that level when you just think of name. Like if you walk up to anybody, anywhere, like you said, at least probably over 15, but maybe even under, and you just said name a pro wrestler, Family Feud style, right? Name the number one option on the
yeah,
board. You're saying Hulk Hogan. Like no one
yeah,
is not saying Hulk Hogan.
yeah,
Maybe The Rock, like maybe, but even then, he's known more for as a movie star. Like it wouldn't shock
yeah,
me if more people
yeah.
knew
I mean,
him.
it's one of those things. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, Tiger Woods. Like, there's only a few of those names that.
right. Yeah, yeah. Sports. You're right. I'd say Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Babe
I'd
Ruth,
say LeBron now,
LeBron
but
James, Hulk Hogan, Muhammad Ali,
yeah, Mike
Boomer
Trout.
Esiason, Benny Testaverde.
Yeah,
All right, rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Obviously took a bit, but worth talking. And he's current on this show, right? We're not covering WCW
yeah.
tonight, but obviously he's a major figure that we
Well, that
cover.
I mean, I do think that helps him too. Like that longevity.
Yeah,
I mean, you think about it, like if you really study his career, one more quick thing, like when we talk about like the GWE and stuff, like actually analyzing him, like he has multiple peaks, and that
right.
the match versus The Rock I watched last week, and I have that as a 5-star match. It's
Yeah,
probably
me too.
like my worst 5-star match, just from an in-ring perspective. But there's something just absolutely dynamic and electric about that match that they have not been able to completely replicate
Nobody
since
has
then.
more in North America. Obviously, I'm not going to speak for Japan. It's a whole different world and engagement, right? But nobody in pro wrestling has more electric, high profile matches than Hogan. Like Hogan Andre, Hogan Warrior, Hogan Rock. Like those three, the electricity and like vibe of those
Yeah,
matches. And even Hogan Vince to an extent. But those three alone is like I don't know many that have like that. You know what I mean? Like transcendent level. I mean, maybe Austin comes close, but even then, I don't know. Like Hogan
I don't
Andre,
think he has like the matches and the moments, like besides the
no. And that's just
oh,
three for Hogan. That's not even covering freaking everything else. Like
yeah,
just those three alone is like crazy. And if you want to put the Vince match in, that's not even counting the Mega Powers, the main event with Andre,
yeah.
like all that other stuff, Hogan Yoko, Marty Sleaze, yeah. Yeah. I love Marty, but I was about out when he started gushing over 1995 WCW. He lost me as a subscriber to his newsletter. Canceled. I saw Farrell pop in. Jeremy Nichols, forgetting about Danny. That's true. We got Nichols here. Matt Farrell was here, and then I can mention Logan, Grooney, Sleaze. All right, Chad, why don't we jump in because we got a big night. We got a big night ahead of us here. Obviously, needed to pay tribute to the Hulkster, but this is like one of our biggest shows to cover because it's one of the most well-renowned WWF shows of all time, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it holds up for us because
Yeah,
you think about it, it's really definitely considered to be one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time. And that is In Your House Canadian Stampede, July 6th, 1997, from the Canadian Airlines Saddle Dome in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. 12,000 in attendance. One free-for-all match. The Godwins defeated the New Blackjacks, still hanging around. But this show, we've covered the build. It's been interesting. Um, we're kind of now into the peak run of the USA Canada. We're kicking it off with, Team USA. Bret Hart's back from the injury. The Hartford Nation's at full power, full strength. All five are here. All five are engaged and on screen. WWF is heating up. So let's see if this pay-per-view holds up to its legend and to its kind of notoriety. We open with a very dramatic opening video package focusing on the fading of good and bad, the shades of gray, kind of triggered by the rise of Austin, the spiraling of Bret. That was pretty good stuff. And to date, even with the shorter shows, this is easily the smallest card in company history to this point for a pay-per-view. We obviously, have had In Your Houses with 5 matches, but I think
yeah,
a 4-match card, which crazy enough has become commonplace in the Triple H era in WWE. But at the time, 4 matches was definitely very light for them.
yeah. This is a 4 matches at a $148. I know. What was it last year with the Rumble? I was at your house. That was 4 matches. It was 2 Rumbles, but it was like 4 hours.
4 hours.
It's like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Very different.
Yeah,
This is a quick flight from Rhode Island down to DC or whatever we'll call it, Rhode Island to Charlotte. We'll say a couple
yeah,
hours. Bang this out. All right, we go to the Saddle Dome. The crowd is fired up. Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, and Jerry the King Lawler have their cowboy gear on. Of course, as we're at the Saddle Dome. Set up the night ahead. King has a giant leather hat on. Just looks absurd as always in this era. Has there ever been a star with less fashion sense than Jerry Lawler? Like I feel like he's
yeah. His singlets are usually pretty
the
awful.
hair, everything just always looks awful.
A lot of Cleveland Brown stuff. If you watch a lot of Memphis, um, the whole Stampede to me is pretty fascinating. I mean, it's still a thing, um, and I don't quite understand it. You know what I mean? Like it's like a party, but it's like what actually happens there? Like they have a big rodeo, and that breaks the town in. It's a very bizarre like thing that it feels very cultural, I guess, or regional for Calgary.
Yeah, I don't. I didn't know anything about it besides this show.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
I know people say like they just go and hang out and get drunk and like you got to go to the Stampede, but it's like what besides like the actual roadie, like what's happening? Like, where is people just mingling or is it?
I don't know. Maybe it's like
I don't
NASCAR.
know.
I don't get
That's
that
what.
either.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. I'm like kind of interested in, but I mean Calgary's not exactly the most convenient location, so I don't think I'll ever make it. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. But tonight the place is a buzzing. This is an interesting
it
one.
feels like Mardi Gras. That's kind of what I
Yeah, maybe
think
Mardi
would be
Gras
the
kind of
closest
just a big
comparison.
ass party with some stuff
Yeah.
going on.
Yes.
The it's an interesting show too because it's like tantamount so much to wrestling history inside of it. So we'll see how we can separate some of that from like the show itself in the moment that we're watching. But like
Yeah.
Wrestling with Shadows obviously is like a big chunk of that happens here, right?
Yeah.
Like on the show, and they mention it. We'll talk about it. That there's a camera crew filming a documentary or whatever. So it's obviously like a big piece of history that you know this other side of when that comes out, a year later or whatever. Um, so like that goes into it, and then just all the other stuff going on backstage with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. Like there's all this stuff swirling around the show itself.
Yeah. I rewatched the Wrestling with Shadows portions from the show today. That was interesting to rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
See the backstage.
And you got that woman, or was that SummerSlam? The one I think it was SummerSlam. The woman who's Brett changed her life. And she got her
No, yeah, this is
computer graphic design degree or whatever. I think that's SummerSlam.
this is Vince walks up to I would guess it'd be Blade and talks about how like one day you're gonna like puck out your dad and all
Oh
this stuff.
yeah,
And then Brett says go mess with the headbangers because he's
yeah.
got to talk business with Vince or whatever.
Was that Vader backstage talking about real estate as well? Was that show?
No, it's not that. I don't know why the headbangers are even there though, because they're not in the pre-show match. They're not.
Well, I think they usually bring everyone in, and then they're probably on Raw the next night or something.
I
But
guess, yeah. It's like,
all right, get to our first match of the four here. We have Mankind taking on Hunter Hearst Helmsley, a rematch from King of the Ring. Hunter and China are out. They get booed. Vince takes us to a video package covering their feud. We come back to the arena. Mankind's out to cheers. He goes right at Hunter. We get a slugfest leading to a Mankind bulldog, a slam, a leg drop. He hits a double arm DDT, genuflex as the King is taking a dump on Calgary women. Mankind slugs away, drops his head. Hunter hits a face breaker. Hunter charges, but Mankind dips, dumps him to the floor, hits a running elbow off the apron. Vince notes the Hart family's here en masse. As we head back in the ring, Mankind quickly chucks him back to the floor. Hunter goes up the aisle to regroup. Mankind stalks and clobbers him from behind, suplexes him on the steel. Hunter tries a sunset flip inside. But then as he calls back to the apron, Mankind slugs him back down. Mankind counters that sunset flip with a mandible claw. China saves with a right hand and finally gives Hunter a reprieve. Mankind heads out to stalk China. He turns and clobbers Hunter as he comes off the apron. Hunter reverses a whip, shoots Mankind into China, who hip tosses him into the steps at a very cool looking spot. Really bangs hard off the steel. Hunter grabs a chair. He smashes Mankind in the leg. China ties up the referee. Hunter clips Mankind's knee as he comes back in the ring, gets to work with strikes. Focuses on the knee, mixes in some punches to the head, tries to whip Mankind to the corner, but Mankind's knee gives out. He collapses, so Hunter gets to work on that, goes to a figure four. Mankind punches free. Mankind counters a pedigree, but Hunter kicks out of a slingshot and shoves Mankind rattling into the corner, but Mankind stumbles forward and falls right into Hunter's balls. Mankind is up, hammering away, and then buries a hard-running knee in the corner. Mankind shoots Hunter to the corner, ends up in the tree of woe. Mankind follows with a running elbow. The ref releases Hunter. Mankind kicks and sticks him with a tight pile driver for two. Barrels into him with a cactus clothesline, grabs a chair, but China blocks, which allows Hunter to smack Mankind with it. The ref turns around and ties up Hunter as China mows down Mankind with a lariat. Back inside, Hunter goes up top, but Mankind crotches him, hooks the mandible claw, but China pulls Mankind down and crotches him on the post. Both men end up outside. Hunter shoots Mankind hard to the railing and then dumps him out into the fans, and the bell rings for a double count out as they brawl through the crowd and into the penalty box and eventually get broken up near the back of the house set. So we'll get more from them later, but for now, we'll kind of wrap here. This is a really fun opener. I thought it was much more entertaining than the plotting King of the Ring match. It was paced up and aggressive. Mankind was on fire to open it up, and they kept the heat segment short, which is so good with Hunter. The crowd was much more aligned with Foley than in Providence as well. The finish and post-match brawl was good. Continues a wild vibe. China stacking the odds. Kind of sets up an organic, likely full, final tilt next month. at SummerSlam. You can kind of see where things are headed. And I think the Mankind face turn has been a good move. I think it was needed for his character to freshen up. I think it's connected better than what he had going on. And Hunter was less bland than usual here, I thought, Chad. So I went 3.5. This is a really good opener. And again, much more alive than their King of the Ring match.
Yeah, I went 4 stars. I like this match. I was really debating between 3 3/4 and 4 stars, but the finish kind of sucks. But with the way they do the brawl afterwards and continue it throughout the night, I gave it the nudge up. I think this is one of the better openers, honestly, in company history up to this point on pay per view. Like really behind Orient Express Rockers and Owen Brett. There's just not
Cheeto
many I
executioner.
think that are up there. Uh, with this match, it's physical. Uh, Mankind's selling of the leg is well done. I think Mankind's interaction with China was great here.
They
The
have a good
power
chemistry.
slam,
Yeah.
yeah, power slam into the steps looks good, and Mankind's. I mean, Foley's a good person to counteract with China because he's big enough to where it's impressive that she's able to do these moves to him. And he's still able to look sympathetic and taking them. So that's a very kind of like delicate balance in that happening. And then when Hunter attacks the leg, I thought he did a good job, like staying focused on the leg. Like you mentioned, it wasn't overly long, which can bog down some of those Hunter matches and really plateau them into the pretty good to good range that we saw with like the Goldust stuff and with the Barrow stuff. Here it was quicker and it was more intense. And then you went to the finishing sequence, and on commentary, they did a good job. Like King talks about with the pile driver, how how that's like his pet move, so he barks for that. Um, overall, really strong opener. I thought it was the perfect amount of time. It was the perfect kind of like mid match in this feud to bridge it in what you might thought was like a month-long feud that culminates here. And then it's like, oh no, we still got a lot of like meat left on the bone. So they did a good job in keeping that going. And finally, Hunter has a blood feud or a brawling type feud that feels appropriate and intense, which is something he's really been kind of seeking out. And
Since Henry Godwin in the hog pen.
yeah, like he just has not had like that type of feud that feels
Yeah.
like you want to see it continue. It's been the other way.
He's only had like 2 feuds. It was Mero and then Goldust, and both
Yeah,
had just got dragged on
dragged on
and
forever. Yep.
never had that energy that this has had. But it's not
Right.
a shock. I mean, look, we saw the same thing with Undertaker, right? Like Taker didn't really have these energetic blood feuds, and then Mankind showed up, and boom, he had like a great feud. So it's we're seeing a lot of value out of Mick Foley as a WWF wrestler, right? And what he brings to
Yeah.
the table.
Yeah. I was and watching this,
Even Vader too.
yeah, and watching this, I was contemplating like worldwide, like where I would rank Foley in '97. I think it's an interesting resume because, like in '96, he has the high end match with Shawn. '88, he has the high end match in my mind with Austin, and then in 2000, obviously with Hunter. But '97, I think does a lot. He elevate his profile. He's been so consistent and helped elevate others too. So I think it's an interesting like resume builder for his career. The year '97. Like I don't know what like his best match would be uh for the year. I don't think he's gonna have like a match of the year contender or anything.
Maybe
But
next month, maybe SummerSlam.
yeah. But this one, I mean, I thought it was a great match, and I think he has a very high floor when he's in ring around this time, and the character work and everything's coming together. So it's been impressive to watch.
Yeah, he's definitely been one of our top. If we had to do a top 5 in the Monday Night Wars, like we have him probably top 5, I would think, right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
All right. So Doc Hendricks narrates a highlight of the weekend events, including a WWF's participation in the Calgary Stampede Parade. Diana Smith as Miss Calgary. We had a jam-packed Bret Hart meet and greet. We also had the WWF receiving the key to the city. We had a tug of war. We had the Hearts doing a photo shoot at the Stampede. So kind of a lot going on. Any thoughts on that?
I don't know why this line always sticks with me, but whenever they say when Doc says after the tug of war, like win or lose, the real winner were the fans. Something like it's like this 10-second tug of war that they may have waited hours to see. But, like the
Very
WWF team, they kind of stacked the deck too. They had Hank and Bradshaw. They got all the big hosses to do the tug of war there.
All right, Doc then is backstage with the Hearts, and he says the reputation of the Hart family is on the line. Brett says it's stupid to talk about them losing, but he's cut off as Steve Austin tries to interrupt. Pat Patterson, Tony Gurria, Blackjack Lanza back him off. Brett jokes it only takes those guys to hold Austin back, and that beating him up proves nothing. Just gives him more excuses because we don't want 5-on-1. We want it to be 5-on-5. So just adding heat for later with Austin again, trying to get a jump on the Hearts.
Yeah.
All right. To the ring we go for a very interesting match to rewatch and look back at, and that is the Great Sasuke taking on Taka Michinoku from Michinoku Pro. Of course, these guys had shown up ECW back in the spring. They were at the first pay-per-view, Barely Legal. Kind of went away for a while on the major stage in North America, and now returned here for the WWF. And Chad, you and I have talked about this leading up to the show. WWF has been looking and searching for something unique to stand out and counteract the cruisers on WCW. These guys could have been it. I'm not sure why we don't get more from them as a group, but we'll talk about what we do get. Taka heads to the ring. Ross and Vince hype these guys up as two of the greatest juniors of the world. Sasuke gets the classic 80s Japanese synth banger for a theme, although the crowd's a bit muted here when they come out. Before we get to the bell, we see Mankind and Hunter emerging in the back of the building. They're still brawling and being chased by China and officials. JR notes that Hunter's bleeding and Mankind's pummeling them. So fun touch. They kind of in the backdrop brawl back there, right? They could have went back to the locker room or something, but they actually have them in the back of the Stampede as we're trying to get going. They're still roaming around and fighting. So that was cool.
Yep.
Once they clear out the bell sounds, we're underway with some feeling out. Ross says Taka may be intimidated by Sasuke's presence. The hype is clearly more on Sasuke here, no doubt. We get some chain work. Lawler talks about Tony Inoki, how he used to use how he used these striking kicks as jabs against Andre the Giant. Ross talks about Tiger Mask. Sasuke lands a kick to the chest, takes Taka to a chin lock and head scissors. They grapple. We get some boring chants right out of the gate. Things pick up with a hard Sasuke spin kick to a single leg crab. Taka blocks a kick, lands a hard backhand to the face, and then a pair of quick seated drop kicks. He strikes away, charges Sasuke, sends him flying over the top to the floor. Sasuke follows with a big springboard side kick, crashes hard to the ground. Back inside, Sasuke kicks away, including a nasty roundhouse to the forehead that rattles Taka. Vince thinks the match should be stopped because Taka's kind of woozy from that kick, and it did land pretty good. He got him hard. Taka slowly gets up as King says they should only stop the match if he bites his ear off, and Vince kind of quips, so that's another sport. Taka gets, of course, this is right after Tyson Holyfield. Taka gets a nice leg whip, drop kicks the knee, sending Sasuke bailing out. Taka meets him with a big plancha off the top to a pop. Sasuke is slow to get back in the ring, floats through a suplex. Taka lands on his feet. Release German. Rana gets 2. La Magistral gets 2. Sasuke comes back with a handspring elbow, knocks Taka outside, flies into with an Asai moonsault. Back of the ring, Taka gets a snap belly to belly for 2, follows with a hard springboard missile drop kick to rile up the crowd. Taka drills the Michinoku driver for a close near fall, heads up top as Sasuke meets him with a drop kick, hits a springboard moonsault for 2, sticks a powerbomb, and twists into a bridging German to pick up the win. Hot match, obviously, is definitely the best lightweight match we've seen in a long time in the WWF. On par, I think, with WCW's best stuff that we've seen. I don't think this was ahead of what they've been doing in any way. And I don't think it was even Michinoku Pro's best stuff. I think some of the stuff we saw in ECW was better than this. I don't think it held up to the legend. I really tried to put myself in the moment, but I've been watching the moment through all these podcasts, right? I've watched them in ECW. I'm watching the cruiserweight stuff. So it's not like I'm just watching this match in a vacuum and saying, oh, it's not as good. Watching everything play out of this era, I liked some of the cruiser stuff we've seen on par or better. And like I said, I think I have to look back at my grades, but I think I remember liking the ECW stuff better as well. That said, WWF should bring these guys in with the rest of the crew and let them run the lightweight division and just run with it. Yeah. So I ended up going 3 3/4, which I don't know, felt low, but I thought it wasn't as crisp and on point as I remembered. The crowd was not as engaged as I would have liked. And my one memory that did hold up was that Taka kind of outworked Sasuke a bit. And not to the effect that I think Legend holds, but I do think Sasuke, I don't know if it was like this is his normal output or was he feeling the pressure of having to deliver on this stage? And then we'll talk about, next week the rematch, but yeah, I don't know. I think going in I would have pictured at least 4, but it kind of dragged down a little bit for me.
Yeah, I'm 3.5. I think it's a very good match. Um, that it's easy to see in retrospect, like it's so much better than the light heavyweight stuff they've tried to present.
Okay.
But also, I mean, we are watching this stuff now, and we have a lot more context. So I think at the time it was easy, uh, honestly, for like very predominant WWF fans to be blown away by this. To me, that's where you see like the ones that kind of had like a a little bit of a eye to WCW, but may not have even like purchased something like Bash at the Beach and saw
Right.
like the Psychosis Ray match. I think that holds up much better. I mean that to me is 4 plus, and some of the Malenko Mysterio stuff I like better, or Mysterio versus Ultimo Dragon. But as we talked about as we watched the TV shows, a lot of that is on TV or is on pay per view. Excuse me,
Right.
like on TV, they're not having these a lot of long form cruiserweight matches. So again, uh, unless you were a WCW pay per view watcher, may not have been checking out some of their top end stuff. Uh, as far as the match on itself, it had some spots that were pretty choppy. I thought commentary did a good job. Like Ross did good enough to be like the expert of these, and Lawler is somebody that's very interesting because he did a tour of all Japan in the '80s and loved it, and like his style did not resonate well at all over there. Uh, but like he there's like a lot of little connection points with Japanese wrestlers and Lawler throughout the years. Like in '89 in Memphis, they have a young Shinya Hashimoto on excursion over here in the U.S., and he's in Memphis as Shogun. So there's like these little connection points, and Lawler bringing up the Antonio Inoki Muhammad Ali fight was interesting here. I thought it added asking if they speak English, like that could have been seen as derogatory, but I thought he did it in a way that like he was just inquiring of Ross and asking about that. The crowd, I think, responded well to some of the stiff strikes and the like very limited high spots, but there just wasn't a whole lot of connective tissue here to put it together. And that's why I think like I just have it as a very good like
Yeah.
spot fest at 3.5. Like it's too choppy. I do think Sasuke as a worker, like his higher end stuff that you'll ever see with him, it's when he's has another strong base in there with him. So Liger, Benoit, somebody like that. Even Ultimo to a degree worked pretty well with Sasuke. Like you think about like Sasuke versus some of the upstarts around this time. Um, he I mean Sasuke's I think's an interesting worker in retrospect. Like he had a lot of hype around this time. Um, in retrospect, I don't think he's that dynamic. And Taka was really starting out, but he already had that Kai and Tai faction where he was really able to break out, show personality. You saw it in this match too.
Yeah.
When he went on the offense and strung together those moves and did like his facial expressions to the crowd, that was all his like Kai and Tai shtick that he was running through. So that was what was able to resonate, I think, with the audience better. But overall, I mean, it's a fun match to rewatch. It's certainly, I think, very good. I don't I can't I understand like it could have been a moment in time, but even a moment in time, I think it was kind of limited in its reach. You know what I mean? Like they should have went further with this. It could have been a nice division, right? But yeah, like if you were on the message boards and like really online, like a hardcore fan, you might have really been praising this match as like a match of the year candidate or whatever within the states. But it's still pretty narrow because you'd have to be that online for starters, and you would have to be very exclusive
Right.
to like WWF because I mean honestly, like it feels like a Scott Keith thing. Like I don't know what I need to look. I'll look up what he ranked this, but I think it was like 4.5 or whatever, and that just shows like the narrowness of this type of match getting that much heaping praise.
The and Ryan Everett's watching. He makes a good point too. Like they could have at least had a 2-minute video package on Raw or something. Like I don't remember
That's
if they
true.
did the week before. I don't think they really did much now, right? So
No,
like
they
they
did
could have
nothing.
done something to at least, and they have this working partnership with ECW. Why just show that fucking match? Like whatever. Like show footage of that. You know what I mean? Um, and I looked back at my grades. I had 375 on their TV match and 4 on their Barely Legal match. So I liked it a little bit better for Barely Legal. And those were 6 men, different style, obviously.
Right.
That was UCW work. Marty on this one at 3.5 stars. Said WF was led to believe Sasuke was a star, but clearly Taka had the charisma. So, all kind of in line. And I remember that being the story at the time, right? It was like Taka kind of wowed them a little bit more. It seemed a little bit more versatile in their system. And that's why he ends up being the one that they bring in. I still don't get why they didn't just bring them all in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I really didn't see that
No,
here.
not. But that's what I said too. Like, not to that extent that the legend carries. Like, I think when you watch the match, I do think he popped a little bit more in Sasuke, but I don't think it was some like he stole the fucking show. Like, maybe they picked up on stuff that they thought could be more malleable with their system. But even we'll watch the Raw match. I don't think either it was like this sudden star maker for Taka. Like, I don't think it was like, oh shit, like look at this fucking guy.
Right. Scott Keith did give it 4.5, by the way.
Yeah. That was in the moment or retrospect.
That was, I mean, it's his retro repost, so I think that one was like,
The original.
yeah, I mean, this is dated 2002, and it's a repost, so it's pretty much, I think, this is the moment.
All right. All right, we go out to the loading dock. Mankind and Hunter are still brawling. Mankind shoots Hunter into a school bus. China holds him, and Hunter slugs away, chucks him into a pile of kegs. He breaks a shovel over his back. They end up on a stack of wooden slabs. Mankind counters a pedigree with a backdrop, and the fans are cheering as Mankind hammers away and slings Hunter to the production truck, and then things kind of quiet down. So again, a good job here, I think, kind of keeping the chaos going with these guys, showing that this is a personal blood feud. They're going to keep wrestling and pushing through. So. Vin shows us the footage when Ahmed Johnson got injured in the big Raw battle with the DOA, leading to knee surgery, of course. So he's out and he's been replaced by Vader. Vin says Ahmed should be back soon. Doc is in with Paul Bearer and Vader. Doc grills Bearer about the accusations against Undertaker. Bearer does his usual whining and ranting and says Vader will whip Undertaker again like he did at the Rumble. So, any quick thoughts on those segments?
No, nothing with that. I did see Meltzer win a quick flat 4.
Yeah.
So I
4
don't
feels
think
like the
that's
cap of what that should be grade wise. Like I think 3.5 to 4. I'm not going to quibble too much in there when you kind of factor in
no.
how
I mean, he
unique it
has
was
it.
to the time.
You look at Meltzer's ratings for the year, obviously at this database, and he had it as probably like a top 50 match of the year worldwide. So
All right. I do like that they call back to the Rumble match for these guys. Obviously, they have to heat it up quick, kind of last minute. And that was right there for them. The Vader beat him clean at the Rumble.
yeah,
So,
I don't. It seemed like they didn't want to really reminisce about that. I I
well, I
think a
mean, it is
lot
a
of
world
it.
champion who got pinned clean by a mid.
I don't know. I think they're just so like full speed ahead with this Cade
Yeah.
situation that everything else is a backseat to that.
Yeah. I think they just wanted to get by this. Ahmed got
Yeah.
hurt. That fucked up those plans. So they're like, whatever, just get through it. But
Right.
at least they do call back to it, and it does add something. But you're right. The whole build is really more about Taker and Paul Bearer than anything to do with Vader. Vader's out though. Title shot in his lap. The lights dip. Crowd fires up. Taker's out. Vader's pacing. Ross thinks Taker's distracted tonight thanks to Bearer's accusations. Bearer ducks behind the apron. Ross says, it's hard to hide when you're 400 pounds. And King goes, yeah, you ought to know. It's kind of mean-spirited by the King. Taker comes out firing with strikes, gets a close early 2 count. Taker hits a leaping clothesline to the corner. Near fall as Vince and King talk about Bearer's comments and how that affects Taker. Taker walks the ropes, hits an axe handle for 2. Vader recovers, hits a running body block. Taker sits right up. Vader slugs away, but Taker gets a flying clothesline for 2. Vader comes back up, punches, gets a side headlock, runs into a pair of Taker big boots on a charge, tumbles to the floor. Taker follows. Vader fights him off, shoots him to the steps. Vader rolls in. Bearer misses Taker, landing some kicks, calling him a murderer. Taker gets on the apron, snaps Vader's neck across the top rope. Vince knows that Mankind and Hunter have stopped fighting, and now they're on the superstar line. Sonny and the Honky Tonk Man. Taker gets 2 on a clothesline off the top. He hammers away, knocks Vader back outside. Taker slips out as well and stalks Bearer until Vader comes back and makes a save. Bearer whacks Taker with his shoe and peacocks around. Taker slowly gets back in the ring. Vader beats on him in the corner to booze, hits a short arm clothesline before heading to the middle rope for a body block near fall. Vader hits a suplex for 2, goes to a nerve hold. The crowd is rallying Taker. He powers out. Vader gets a thumb to the eye, a clothesline, and peppers away his strikes. Taker fights through it, unloads a flurry to a roar, grabs a chokehold. Vader kicks him low to stop. Vader slowly charges. Taker scoops him up for a tombstone. Vader rolls back and they collapse to the mat. Vader lands a back elbow on a charge, hits a running body block. Vader peps the Vader bomb, but Taker's up and hits a low blow. Chokeslams Vader off the middle rope for 2. Taker lands another chokeslam for 2 and then finishes with the tombstone to a pop. This is pretty good. Vader's been a streaky, strong competitor during his rebooted run in 97. I think you always kind of think of 96 because that's his debut, but I think his 97 work outside of maybe SummerSlam 96 has been far superior so far. Taker rolled right with him, had some good chemistry, smooth offense, despite it being a strike fest. The crowd was rocking as well. They were behind Taker the whole way. They bid on the near falls. Vader kind of pisses away his big chance, but I thought he leaves looking pretty strong. He hung in there. We'll see what they do with him now. The story is purely about Taker and Bearer, though. But I thought Vader did enough. It actually reminded me a little bit like Final Four, where like the whole story is about Austin and Brett and Mania, and Vader kind of sneakily like held his own and showed. I thought here he like could have been lost in the whole Kane stuff, but I thought he showed enough to, you don't forget about him in the match. A lot of power spots, it clicked. And I think not having the pressure to carry the show as a main event helped them too. They could kind of just nestle away in the mid card. So I went 3.5 on this. It was perfectly fine. I think it probably outkicked whatever Taker Ahmed would have done as far as an in-ring standpoint. Taker Ahmed might have had more heat behind it with the nation out there, but we probably would have gotten DOA, I'm guessing, involved in that too. Who knows? But for now, this is what we got, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I went 3.25. I think it's a very good, tidy, little defense match that could have been on TV, but for a pay-per-view, it served its purpose. The stuff I liked on the match was the retaliation spots where you saw Vader hit a low blow and then Taker comes back by actually like punching a low blow, and then Vader did his punches pounding down in the corner, and Taker responded with that. So that was nice. They recovered from the tombstone reversal botch well when Vader couldn't keep his balance and Taker just kind of fell on top of him. That went right to a pin, so that was a nice cover job. I did like the finish as well with the choke slam from the ropes, and then the next choke slam, and then finally putting him away to tombstone. I thought that kept Vader strong. My biggest negative of the match is Bear. I thought he was annoying on the outside, screaming. He gets his little kicks and punches in at times, which look so unthreatening. I know they're not supposed to do much, but I mean they're even worse than you think. And in some ways, it felt like they were. To me, it was worse on a show like this where you saw China kind of do a lot of the same stuff in the first match where referee's distracted, she's on the outside. Even like Taker gets sent into the steps here, like Mankind does in the first match. And the first match, it was just done much more effectively and really played into the larger storyline. Where here it's just Bear yelling murderer and then looking very exaggerated on every kick out that Vader kicks out on. including like a choke. It's like, I mean, how many times has a non-jobber been pinned by one choke slam, even at this point? So for him to be shot, this is kind of like my modern day gripe creeping into 1997 when a finish that never finishes, and they look, oh, I can't believe it. It's like, well, have you been paying attention? Because that ain't been anybody in a year.
Right.
But overall, a solid match. And I mean, I know it's. I think Taker kind of needed this for his reign, and we'll see. Like, he obviously the next 4 months, uh, starting with this match, has a good streak, and a lot of that's based on who he's in the ring with. He's in the ring with 3 of the top whatever wrestlers of all time. Um, Certainly will make the top 100. Probably will make a lot of people's top 20 if you think about it. Um, but yeah, I thought it was just a solid match overall.
All right, we get a few more clips of local events from the weekend. Vince, Ross, and King reset. We get a video package for the main event, kind of focusing on the new vibe with the gang warfare and the street fights and how that all stacks up with Austin's war with the Hearts. And we're only beginning. We've only just begun in the gang wars. Doc is backstage.
I don't know if we needed the DOA riding around right before the main event here.
They are like all in on the fucking DOA. Like,
yeah.
The more I watched these early ones with them, like, I really believe that they were gonna put them with Taker or something. Like, I don't think I've ever pieced it together until we're watching it now. Like, they are really tying them and like focusing on them almost as like a main event level group.
Yep. Agreed.
I wonder if Ahmed didn't get hurt, like what that would have led to. Doc is backstage with Team USA. Goldust says he put the squad together. He was peacemaker, and if the Hearts want to play Clint Eastwood, they'll bring the fight. Ken Shamrock says he's used to unfamiliar territory and untamed fighters, but now he's in his zone. Animal says it's about survival of the fittest. Hawk does his gibberish, and then Austin just stomps off without saying a word. So kind of classic promo from each of these guys, right in their wheelhouse. Base hit, move on, head out to the ring. We get Farmer's daughter to sing the Canadian national anthem. Rene Goulet rolling over in his grave on that one.
I don't know why, but I think I as a wee lad at one point had thought this was the Dixie Chicks.
Yeah.
Maybe Farmer's Daughter, Dixie Chicks.
I think it's an easy mix there. Yeah.
But I don't know when I made that connection that it was not, but I definitely know when I rented this tape the first time, I was like, oh, because this is right around the time of the Dixie Chicks were starting to break out too.
Aren't they just the Chicks now or whatever? Didn't they change?
Yeah, no Dixie.
No dicks, just chicks.
Like Dolly Parton's little show. It's called Dixie Stampedes. Now just Dolly Parton Stampede. So there you go.
The Fink introduces the Alberta Premier, Ralph Klein. So we got all the luminaries here tonight. Farmer's daughter, Ralph Klein. Stu and Helen Hart, of course, are here. All the children and grandchildren. You get stupid Bruce mugging in the front row, of course. Got to get his FaceTime in. Stupid shade.
Wearing sunglasses. Like
leather coat.
Yeah.
Little Bruce. We then head to the ring. It is time as the Hart Foundation, Bret the Hitman Hart, Jim the Animal Knight Hart, the British Bulldog Owen Hart, Brian F. and Pillman taking on Goldust, Steve Austin, Ken Shamrock, and the Legion of Doom. Atmosphere is already there. Goldust comes out first. No Marlena. She's home with a sick Dakota. Ken Shamrock, which I actually kind of liked that she wasn't there because it felt like, all right, the dudes are going to war. Like the women and children stay home. Like it kind of had that vibe, like just the gunslingers going into enemy territory. Like Marlena kind of would have been like weird out there, I think. So I kind of like that. It was just them out there. She's not there. Ken Shamrock powers out, followed by Legion of Doom. They come roaring down the ramp. Austin's out last. He's drawing at the fans. Kind of a mixed reaction. So they're out. And this is where we really now start the sustained pop that'll last for like the next 50 to 55 minutes. Brian Pillman comes out first. And you would think this is 1986 Hulk Hogan. It's Brian Pillman coming out. Like monster pop. He kind of stops and waits on the ramp. Then we get Jim the Animal Neidhart. Big pop with some random fucking song. British Bulldog comes out with Diana. Huge pop. Owen Hart's out. Monster pop. And then in comes the hero, Bret the Hitman Hart. Just ear-splitting into a sustained swell as they head to the ring. Just like like one of the loudest pops in WWF history, I would say, from these guys, these entrances. And we'll talk about the end, but I think these entrances are up there with any other pop in company history. Like, it is sustained, it is loud, it is in unison, it is chaos. And then it just starts as a swell that does not end from here to the end of the match. Brett gives Helen the shades. King says he didn't know they came in bifocals. Ross kind of takes a shit on that joke. All 10 guys stare down. Ross notes that there's cameras at ringside filming a documentary, like we talked about on Brett's life. This will be part of it. The Army slowly head to the apron as the bell rings. Brett and Austin, which I love that they start. It's their first time in the ring since that Raw after Revenge of Taker. We've seen them fight. We don't need to build to it. Just let them freaking go. Brett drills Austin in the corner, hammers away, stomps away. The crowd's losing the shit. Austin turns the tide. Brett comes to know the clothesline, a headbutt, runs through his offense, gets a pop for every move. Austin lands a mule kick and uses the bootlaces to Brett's eyes. Austin stomps away in the corner and goes to $1 Million Dream, but Brett breaks it with his usual corner kick, roll through to a near fall. Ross says it was the Cobra Clutch, of course, not the $1 Million Dream, which I guess DiBiase is gone, but it would have been cool if he said it was a dream, since that's really kind of what he was doing. Brett fends off. Austin tags Anvil. Austin meets him with a Luthez press on those punches. Tags Shamrock. We reset and circle around with Ken kicking Anvil in the upper back. Ken goes to the ankle lock, but Pillman breaks it up. Ken works the arm. Anvil punches free. Shamrock rolls through into a cravat for 2. Anvil tags Pillman, and Shamrock grabs his arm and cranks away. Pillman bites at his face, chops away. It's a backbreaker to a big pop. Pillman pantomimes Shamrock tapping out and then spikes his face to the mat. Eats a hard clothesline on a charge. Shamrock gets a belly to belly. Pillman crawls to tag Owen as Shamrock tags to Goldust. They lock up as the crowd is roaring for Owen, who takes over with right hands. Goldust shoots Owen to the corner, gets a backdrop, but Owen's up with an enziguri for 2. Ross notes Owen's new buzz cut, which is a very different haircut for Owen. The longer hair is gone, as is the kind of bowl cut he's had since he got rid of the longer hair. So now it's just a pure buzz cut, which is pretty much almost what he keeps, I think, till the end at this point. Goldust slugs away. The crowd's chanting Austin sucks. Hawk is in, unloads a chop, a gut wrench, a leg drop, pours it on, heads up for a big splash for 2, but Owen dodges a drop kick, turns into the sharpshooter. Animal saves. Owen tags Bulldog, who hits a big delayed suplex on Hawk for 2. Bulldog slugs away, gets a power slam. Goldust saves. Animal and Brett tag in. After a few strikes, Animal runs into a hard kick. He backs off and tags Goldust. We take a beat. We reset. Brett lands a boot off a lockup, buries a knee and some hard clubs to the back. He hangs Goldust in the trio. Whoa! In the Heart's corner, they swarm, they attack, which brings in the rest of the soldiers for a brawl. Things settle as Owen works over Goldust. He focuses on the back. He misses a charge. He bangs into the post. Animal's in. He works over Owen. Owen comes back with a spinny heel kick. Bolts up top for a missile drop kick to a huge pop. Owen is fired up as Animal counters Arana with a power bomb, follows with a power slam. Animal calls to the Doomsday device. Hawk goes up as they load Owen, but Anvil breaks up the pin. All 10 men brawl again as Austin drags Owen to the corner and bangs his leg off the post, smashes it with a chair. Austin turns and decks Bruce. He tries to use the chair again until Brett saves and resets things. Brett barks that Owen is hurt. They drag him to the corner. He tags Anvil. Austin and Anvil talk up as Owen is hobbled to the back with officials, so he's gone now. Anvil drives Austin to the corner. The Hearts are battering him until he fights them off. Pillman tags in and tries to escape, but Austin holds onto his tights. We get some Pillman ass. He's running in circles and gets drilled by all the guys on the apron. Austin drills Pillman with the stunner, but he rolls to the corner where Brett yanks Austin down and now smashes his leg into the post and bangs it with a fire extinguisher. Brett hooks the ring post figure 4. Hawk makes a save. Things come down as Bulldog is beating on Austin in the ring. Austin crawls and tags Hawk, who slams Bulldog hard to the mat. Heads up top, but Bulldog crushes him and he shoves him down. The officials now make Austin leave as that gets some booze. So Austin and Owen are both gone. Bulldog and Anvil double up Hawk. Ross knows that Austin's knee has been injured the last few months. Anvil and Animal reset with a test of strength. Anvil lands a kick, tags Brett. They had a decapitation device. For 2, Brett slugs away. Animal knocks him down and tags Shamrock, who grabs the leg, but Pillman comes in, knocks him down. Shamrock recovers, throws Brett to the corner, hammers away. Vince says this is patriotism gone awry tonight. Shamrock lets Brett up, and they knuckle up as Brett goes to the eyes, throws him to the floor. Pillman pounces, sends him to the flying into the announce table. The Hearts gang up. They throw Hawk to the stairs. Brett gets a Russian leg sweep on Shamrock. Goldust makes a save. Bulldog tags in. They beat on Ken in the corner, stomping a hole. Ken goes low, tags Goldust. It's a clothesline. A Bulldog sets up the curtain call, but Pillman breaks it up. Goldust heads up top. Bulldog crotches him, hits a big top rope superplex. Hawk makes a save. Out comes Steve Austin limping back to the ring to booze. He calls for a tag. Goldust comes over and tags him. Austin is in. Brett's in. They're throwing down. Austin stomps away in the corner, hits a suplex for 2. Brett rallies with a swinging neck breaker, goes through his offense. Brett grabs a sleeper. Austin busts that up with a jawbreaker. Brett scoops up Austin to the mat, turns into the sharpshooter, but Animal makes a save and allows Austin to hook the sharpshooter. Owen comes limping back out and breaks the hold. Brett tags him in. Owen slugs at Austin, but Austin knocks him to the floor. Austin runs him into the railing and stomps away, but Bruce throws a drink at him. Austin thinks it's Stu, and this all plays out in Wrestling with Shadows, right? You see them planning the spot and then doing the spot. It doesn't really play out as well as Brett describes it in the back when he's planning it. But the theory is that Bruce threw the drink. He thinks it's Stu. So Austin grabs Stu. All the Hart brothers jump the railing. They're beating on Austin. Austin escapes and slides in the ring. He's drawing at the Harts. But that allows Owen to come in and roll Austin up to pick up the win. Shamrock maims Bruce. Like, I don't know if he thought he was a fan or what, but he really kicks the shit out of him. The Harts fend off Team USA. The brothers and police all pile in. Things calm down eventually. The Harts start to celebrate, but Austin comes back with a chair. They gang up on him again, and he's dragged out by police. And we get the infamous, he's cuffed with his hands behind his back, and he's flipping everyone off, bent over while he's cuffed. Things finally cool off. We get extended Hart family celebration, and we wrap up. So, all-time match with an insane atmosphere, breakneck pace. In retrospect, I think the modified USA team kind of worked out because it allowed the Harts to stand out as stars. Like, we only really needed Austin to make this hum. We didn't need Shawn Michaels and Sid. Like, that would have been cool for star power, but I think Austin in this, like, lesser group allows the Harts to really stand out as megastars. Shamrock was another winner here tonight. I thought he looked great when he was in, especially kicking the shit off to Bruce after the bell. Like, that was great. It was really snapped. I thought Bulldog shined. I thought he fed off the intensity with good aggressive offense. The only part I didn't like was Austin voluntarily leaving. Like, he should have been, like, knocked out and carried out. Like, for Austin to walk to the back during this fucking war that he's been dying for with all the Harts at ringside didn't make sense to me. Like, instead of dragging him out, he should have been, like, either laid out on the floor, knocked out, or handcuff him to the rope by one of the, maybe like Smith handcuffs him to the pole or something, and he can't escape until they find the key. Like, it just took me out a little bit to have Austin walk to the back when, like, he's been dying for this opportunity. Minor quibble. The rest is amazing. It holds up. It felt like the last vestiges of, like, territory madness with the local stars, the outsiders. Like, there's not a lot of this left to come after this moment. It's a perfect match for this time in history. It's one of the last, like, happy moments of the Hart family before everything goes to shit in the months to come. This is such a high, and it starts to fall apart so quick for them. Like, they're on top of the world. You think they're going to be the stars forever coming off of this. And then we get Pillman, and then the screw job, and then, like, everything just goes from here. So this and SummerSlam is kind of like it for them. I debated not doing 5 because I think there's some stuff nitpick in there, but I think when you factor in the atmosphere, the Harts, the moment, Owen getting the win was cool to transition Austin to him. It felt very much like Savage going to Beefcake or Perfect going to Beefcake, whatever, off of Hogan. Like, okay, you could tell Austin's moving over to Owen after this, with Owen pinning him. So I went 5. Like, I think the atmosphere carries it. The energy, I think there's enough shine, and I think my quibbles are quibbles. So it's still an all-timer.
Yeah, I went 4.5. I think you can make an argument that on the Hart Foundation side, none of the 5 ever have that high of a high again. A couple of them are debatable, but it seems. I mean, certainly, I think Pillman for sure, and then even Owen. Like, I don't know, like. He like, as far as a triumphant high for him, this feels like maybe the biggest win of his career in a lot of ways.
Yep, definitely.
And then Anvil and Davies, like, kind of fades out too. So I mean, Brett too. Like, maybe next month for Brett, but that's more about, like, the
SummerSlam. I think they're all still pretty hot at SummerSlam. Like, Owen, he's in a big match. Bulldog's in a big match. Like, Brett's like, to me, the downfall really starts after Ground Zero. Like,
yeah,
Ground
I just
Zero
don't think they reached this peak though. because like
No,
SummerSlam's
this is the
more
feud.
about the other team.
Yeah, this is the. But I think
Getting
this next month
retribution.
they're so highly focused. Like this 4 weeks from here to SummerSlam is like their absolute high. Like maybe it's a plateau or a little down, but after SummerSlam to me is when we start to the descent on these guys.
Yeah.
But it's not long. Like, it goes down fast.
The I think, and you see this a lot in the Wrestling with Shadows. Like Patterson had a big hand and crafted this match. You see that? Uh, it actually reminded me mostly of New Japan in the '80s. Has a lot of these 5-on-5 matches. It reminded me a lot of those, like UWF versus New Japan. Kind of had like Inoki in the Bret Hart role, and then you'd have somebody like Fujiwara or Choshu in the Austin role. Choshu in the Austin role actually fits well. Um, I mean, it's just a very good match. I think you ran it down. It keeps a fever pitch. It doesn't. It's long. It feels epic, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. The finish, I think works. I like it, and it kind of transitions now to where like, all right, it's Owen versus Austin. Thought they did a good job of kind of shifting that focus.
I like the
Uh,
constant breakups and interfere. Like that was cool too. Like every pin has a breakup by someone else. You know, like it was constant in and out, in and out, in and out.
yes. And I do think it'd have been easy and a cop out in a way to have somebody like Neidhart or Goldust lose.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the
so
Hearts had to win. I mean, they had to win.
yeah, I think the Hearts had to win, but I don't know. Neidhart's taken so many pins. I wouldn't have put it past him for him to lose, but there was so many options for like a lost post on both sides because even one of the Legion of Doom, we've seen them get beat by freaking the Godwins or whatever in the
No,
past.
yeah, like Hawk or Animal or Goldust all could have
Yeah.
taken a pin easily.
Um, the stuff with the drink, I do like them formulating it, and the documentary is cool. It doesn't. Bruce is a little overzealous and doesn't really execute it well because I do think it'd been an interesting little caveat if it would have been performed in a way where you like Austin really thought Stu did it, but like the way it's done, like it's obvious it's Bruce and then he's
Right.
tripping, falling over the railing. But overall, I mean, it's a triumphant moment. It's a infamous match for a reason. It's definitely a classic match. It's just
Oh, one of the best matches that we watched on Warzone.
yeah. I think in the two calendar years, this is a top probably 5 match we've watched. I would say so. It's up there.
Yep. Bruce is a putter, Ryan. You're right.
Yes. Yeah, Bruce Stinks. It really like Smith is the other one that gets involved, and there's not much Stampede footage. I'm trying to recall like really seeing anything of Smith in ring, so that's kind of interesting too because we get a pretty good dose of Bruce and we get a dose of Keith, and I like Keith a lot actually. Uh, but Smith is someone I'm not familiar with, like how good he was or whatever as a wrestler, so he's tough to gauge. So seeing him get physical was fun to see in
Yeah.
retrospect this watch.
All right, let's hit our awards. I think match of the night is fairly obvious.
Yeah.
That's the main event.
Yeah.
Moment, I just want the celebration at the end.
I did the entrance. I think the entrance actually is the most memorable moment. And I did like that it was sustained and that the way they phased it out. I thought that
One
was
after the other.
clever.
Yeah. I went
Yeah.
celebration because, like you talked about, it felt like the last like truly happy moment for this whole family. Like,
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, obviously, it's a pretty dysfunctional family. To see them all pile into the ring and to see like Oj and Owen's arms is something that's
and that's the
tough to
picture they
watch
always
now.
showed after he passed away. So it's like,
Right.
I mean, it very much, it's a lesser version of it, but like it's kind of up there, like the end of 20 with Benoit and
Yeah.
Eddie hugging. Like it's one of those type of things where it's like you look back at it and it's such a fond moment at the time. It's so hard to digest now to see them all so happy. You look at it and you're thinking this family has finally hit the pinnacle of what they've been doing all this time, right? This is what they've all
Right.
clawed for Brett to be the guy, for the Harts to be the wrestling family, to be in Canada and Calgary. Like, I feel like they wanted this so bad, and it almost feels like they sold their soul a little bit. Like, they're not the Von Erich level of tragedy, but they're not fucking far off. And it's like, it starts right after this. Like, Pillman drops dead. Brett gets screwed. Bulldog blows out his back. Owen dies. Like, it's like all within like 2 years of this. Like, it's fucking crazy,
Yeah. Yeah. It's watching this show. It was pretty sudden how things change. Even like when, like in the opener, I watched that. It's like, I mean, Mankind, like we talked about, he's really rising up. It's like in 3 years, he's gone. Like,
Yeah.
there's just not. It really.
It's the era of short-lived stars.
Yeah,
That's why
like it
we started.
nowadays where it feels
Yeah.
like how long have we been dealing? And I know it's different iterations, but like the bloodline, like it keeps, or something
Right.
like that. It's like, is it gonna happen or not? Or like Rock versus Roman, like it's been. Well, was it Mania 40? Is it Mania 41? Is it Mania
Right.
42? Is Mania 40? Like it still gets drawn out. And it's like you look at this and like this moment in time. It's like if you got a chance.
Yeah.
Even with Hogan passed away, it was like that too. Because like I know you got the all time stuff, and it wasn't negative, but like the fact that they never did Austin Hogan, like it's just kind of weird to see. And like they
Yeah.
had opportunities, and it's like just never happened.
Well, we
So
talked about Hogan. Part of the legacy, why he's what he was the longevity too. Like, the guys of this era, it's fast. It moves fast. Now there's
yeah,
more content. Like, Austin probably does more in 3 years than Hogan did in 6 on
yeah. I mean,
TV.
he's on TV so much more.
Right.
Right, right.
But it's
TV
still
matches.
like burnt. Like, Austin's peak is like 4 years,
Yeah,
Foley, like you said, Foley, 4 years, Rock, 3 years or whatever it is. Like, besides
yeah,
Triple H of all of them, like everyone else, like, is boom, boom, boom. Like, because by the time they heat up, they're breaking down, right? Because they waited so long for this moment to come. Then they go balls out and they're all getting older and they're breaking down. So it's just a interesting time period, but we'll track the Hearts. Obviously, we're going to see them a lot more. I mean, they're not gone by any means, but it just definitely like their peak. So MVP, I just went Hart family. I mean, I hate to cheat, but it's like all of them. That was their night. That's what you think of as the Hearts on this show. If I had to pick one, I actually thought Bulldog like really stood out in that match, and Shamrock. Like, I thought those two like really stood out the most. I mean, Austin and Brett's easy. Like, they're going to be transcendent no matter what. But I actually thought those two coming out of this felt like, okay, like these guys are popping off the screen for me.
yeah. I like Owen. I'm fine going Hart family too, though.
Yeah,
As
it's
far
their
as
night.
collective.
There's no real shots. Sasuke and Taka for the debuts. So I ended up going 9 out of 10. I didn't go the full 10. I think most people think of it as a 10, as the greatest show in history because of format, blah, blah. But I found Vader Taker to be a little bit lower than I thought historically. Taka Sasuke was lower than I thought historically. The main event's on the low end of the 5s for me. I don't do the 10-point scale, but if I did, I went 5, but it was kind of more like 4 and 3, high end top of the 4 3/4 probably.
I'm like 9.1, 9.2 for
Yeah, so right down there. And then I like the opener, not as much as you. It's an easy watch. It's a great. I mean, 9 out of 10 for this era of what we've been watching is easily the highest rated WWF show. So it's like
yeah.
it's still an all timer. I just think there's probably maybe something later that tops it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I went 9 out of 10 too. Like, I mean, of course, it's a all time great show. I do think when you look at the promotion and its history, they have a couple more shows that have more historical significance that elevate it, and then also for me have that match quality
Yeah.
that eclipses the main
That's a good
event.
point. It's not really historic. Like, the match is like a must see, but again, if this show doesn't exist, like, you don't miss much. Like, besides an all time moment, but like,
Right.
they could have gotten to SummerSlam without this show,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
nothing else on the show really happened. So, yeah, like, importance wise, it's not really that important. It's more of like a popcorn movie, I guess, right? It's not
Yeah.
historically important. It's like it's a great 2 hours of wrestling.
It feels like because honestly, like I don't want to knock it. Like I'm happy that it's a buck 48. Like it's such an easy watch. But in some ways, like thinking of it historically, that does take away a little bit where it can't reach that like grandiose epic scale.
Yeah.
I kind of compare it almost to like a bottle episode of like a TV show.
Right.
Like if you think about like a Breaking Bad, this is kind of like The Fly.
Yeah.
And it's one of those like historic like bottle episodes, but like I don't know, that's not my favorite Breaking Bad episode in the whole
Well, and
run
it doesn't
either.
mean much
So
in the history of Breaking Bad, right? That episode doesn't
right,
happen. There's stuff in there that you need for character development, but like you could get by without it if you skipped it.
right.
And
So
this has some character development that you could get by if you didn't see it. It's more, I think it's one too. Like the match holds up, but it also feels like a very moment in time show. Like between the Sasuke match and the main event, it was like on that night, in that moment, felt like, oh shit, this is like like all like what a night, you know. But
a
going
lot of
back, like still
momentum.
really good, but you know,
Yeah, we've been talking about the WWF gaining momentum, and this definitely felt like a good momentum
yeah,
night for them.
yeah, oh yeah. So we'll see
Very
how they carry up.
future. I mean, really future facing too,
Right.
actually, because like we talked about, like how the downfall for the Hearts happens quick. But I mean, if you look at that faction as composed right now, only Anvil is the one you're like, all right, he's kind of hanging
Right.
on, but everybody else, it still feels like they're climbing still.
Yeah, and they're still going to dominate the next 6 months of company programming. So it's like they're not like gone. I mean, they're still going to carry the load. And then Austin's obviously a big part of their future. Shamrock is a big part of their future. I think even Goldust at this point.
Yeah,
You know,
Shamrock looked like a different stock going up in this show.
it's funny too because we keep talking about the Hearts. You could argue like this is Goldust peak for a long time. I think he
Yeah, I
has to
was
bounce
thinking
back
about that.
later
Like,
with Cody, but like for this
yeah,
run, I don't think he gets higher than this.
when Goldust came out for the entrance, I was like, wow, this may be like Goldust's best match besides the Cody match for me. And it's
Yeah.
like kind of weird for somebody that, has that long of a career, but
Yeah, you could
yeah,
argue this is the high for him too. Like
right.
all the Hearts and him, I would say. Like, fuck, even LOD. I don't know if they even have it. Like, this might be it for them too. Like their biggest
Yeah.
flash, big moment, you know,
Yeah, it's almost like besides Austin
and Shamrock.
and Shamrock.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue it's Shamrock, but Shamrock does a lot of great stuff still to come. So, like, then it feels like the end for Goldust in a way. Even though he'll linger on, LOD for sure. The Hearts, like, yeah, it's an interesting microcosm show. Like, because in the moment it feels like here's your future. Like you said, like these
Right.
guys are your future. Like they're gonna rebuild the WWF, and
Right.
half of them are gone within 5 months. It's like
Right.
nuts. Yeah. All right, we'll be back in 2 weeks with the follow up to this, the go home to Bash of the Beach, and then a month from today we'll be at Bash of the Beach '97 at the Ocean Center in Daytona. So and then we'll do our kind of combo awards, see what show holds up. We talked about it previously, like this could be the highest rated pay-per-view month that we'll do. We'll see if that holds true.
Yep.
We're off to a good start for sure. Thank you. Be sure to subscribe. Patreon, absolutely free. YouTube, podcast apps. We appreciate you all. Smell the napalm. Keep stampeding. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks.